Hi everybody, this is Music on Fire 10. I'm coming today with a little book review on a book I read, finished over my little spring break called Dark Corner. It's by Massey. I picked this book up just out of curiosity. When I picked it up, I had no idea what I was in for. So this book is quite a page turner. And it's very well written. Like, there's so many wonderful metaphors and imagery and things like that. I didn't pick out any because that's for you to find out yourself. But Massey really holds his own as a writer. Yes. So this book is about a man named David. This is how it begins. It begins in a pretty normal note. So a man named David goes to a little town in Mississippi from his home in Atlanta because he has his own business, so he can do that, looking for things that his father left behind because his father passed away. And he didn't really spend very much time with David during his lifetime. However, he did leave David and his mother his entire fortune. So that obviously sparked David's curiosity, like, who was this man? Like, you never spoke to me, you never did this, you never did that, but all of a sudden you're leaving me all of your money? And his father had so much money, actually, because he was an author, a wonderful author. So he gets to the town called Dark Corner in Mississippi, and he finds out that no one really knew his father. The man was very mysterious. He kept to himself. He was usually kind of rude, I guess, to other people there, but, all the women thought he was very handsome and kind of a playboy. He'd flirt and things like that, but he wasn't very friendly otherwise. And so that's the beginning. Then the next big part, I guess, simultaneously, there's another man, can't see that, another man who comes to Dark Corner in search of his father as well, who, as we're going to say, we're just going to call it, because I don't want to spoil the story for you. His father was in prison of sorts, in a prison of sorts. This man's name is Kyle, and he's actually a vampire. So yes, this is a vampire story, and it's placed in Dark Corner, Mississippi. I'm not really sure if that's a real town or not, but in this book at least, it's a predominantly black town, little town in Mississippi, and to call it what it is, after a while, it's overrun by vampires. And just all havoc breaks loose, and it's a pretty wonderful story though. Like, usually I'm not really into vampires. I do read the Eclipse novels, more or less for the romance aspect, not for the vampire aspect. Yeah, like this, but the way he shows it is not as gruesome as usual. He does kind of get into the gory details of sucking the blood and like how good it tastes, and I'm like, that is nasty. However, this man is a very, very good writer, and I do suggest him. He's written other books similar to this, according to the summary in the back about him. And it's a pretty good book, simply because, as I said before, things are just described so well. Like, he uses such nice imagery, paints a wonderful picture in your head, and it's a really unique way of portraying anything. Because first of all, like I said, it's held in a black community. We don't usually have these type of things going on in our community. Like, we have a lot of issues. That's not really funny, but there aren't really, as far as I know, many black authors who go on to talk about things like vampires and stuff like that happening in our community. So he brought it in and brought in different things that we would do that other people wouldn't do, but not in necessarily a stereotypical fashion. And as I said, he writes it in a manner that keeps you turning the pages, like, what's going to happen next? Like, what is going to happen in the end? Will people actually be able to come back, even though they were bitten by the vampires or not? Because he also brings in things that are counter to the myths about vampires, like them being able to come out in the, in the daylight, whether they're afraid of crosses and holy water and stuff like that. So he brings in a lot of things that kind of shoot down a lot of myths. So I like that because it's different. I like when people kind of think outside of the box. I probably will be reading more of his things, coming back with stuff like that later. If anyone else has read this book, I'd like to hear your take on it too, and I do suggest it. It's called Dark Corner, like I said. It's by Massey. It's a pretty thick book, but it's not difficult to read. And if you're younger, it's good for you to read because you can get a lot of vocabulary. So maybe I'll assign this to some of my older students that I get. But anyway, that's all for today. See you all later. Have a good day.